It's been over a year since I made my top 10 Splatoon 2 weapons video, and let's say it hasn't aged very well. Looking back at it, the quality is not only cringeworthy, my picks were questionable to say the least. Really a trademark of my phase where I had no clue on what I wanted to main. I really want to remake this list, going into more depth and hopefully showing a list of weapons that more accurately reflect my personal opinion. Just to note, before any of you keyboard warriors start typing down below, these are all my personal preference, so these are not the weapons I think are necessarily the best in the game, just the ones I enjoy playing the most. With that being said, let's get right into the list. The first thing I noticed when putting this list together is how few weapons I actually play, and how little variants they have. You probably know me as a backline player, but there are still many weapons I enjoy playing more casually, and the OG NZAP surely fits that box. This solid, mid-range shooter is a jack of all trades, and a great weapon for new and experienced players alike. This weapon has an amazing strafing speed, which is great for one-on-one mobility and when painting large areas, say at the start of a game. This also makes it easy to be aggressive, and while the zap is often used for support, it's fun to go all in and get that flank on the enemy team when they are focusing the objective. As long as you pick your battles right, you can rip through your opponents while your fellow teammates struggle to keep up. The weapon has an awesome set, suction bomb and ink armor. Your sub is the most powerful bomb in the game, and can be used to trap opponents and lure them into your shots, especially in tighter areas and more predictable situations. Its special, ink armor, pairs amazing with it. For a great painter, the zap gets its armor so fast, and makes it a more aggressive option to the Junior, one of the most played weapons in comp. Armor is a great support special, where you give yourself and your team a lifeline when pushing into the enemy base. This helps the zap be a great all-rounder, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy playing it whenever I pick it up. It's not too hard a weapon to grasp the fundamentals of, and it's also designed off the NES Zapper, which the video game nerd inside of me wholeheartedly approves of. When you see a Splatling, you assume that they will spend most of the game strafing, utilising their stacks of run speed to chase down and pick off opponents. However, the Nautilus plays a very different role when compared to the rest of Splatoon 2 Splatlings. Instead, this weapon can store its charge in ink, making it more akin to the unscoped charger. As with this ability comes increased mobility, and a whole new playstyle for a weapon class that can seem quite stale. The Naut has solid range and damage output, being a 4-shot like most other Splatlings, but with great projectile velocity, allowing you to get picks much quicker. This allows you to be much more aggressive with the Naut, and makes for a weapon that works in many situations. I haven't had the chance to play the Naut too much, especially recently as I don't play it in comp, but when I give it a run I have a blast. My favourite kit, the 79, with suction bomb and inkjet is great for offense, but has a powerful bomb to trap opponents and deter them from pushing in. While I am awful at using the inkjet, it's fun to use and also satisfying the rare times I get skillful picks with it. I do wish I could play with the Naut more, the same with other weapons on this list, but sadly it's not similar enough to my core playstyle to consider playing it competitively. Nevertheless, it's still a great weapon, and that's why it's here. I enjoy a more defensive playstyle, and the Ken's Rapid Blaster is a good balance of support and defence. This blaster has a great range, and can two-shot opponents quickly. Granted, not the same damage as shorter range blasters, but it more than suffices. This weapon is stupid fun when you can hang back and pick off opponents around corners, and while yes, it can be scummy, sometimes you have to sink to that level to play effectively. It's much more passive than its shorter range cousins, but the amount of pressure it provides is insane in tight spaces. Take tower control. Your shots span the whole tower, and are more than enough to push the attacking team away from the objective. This combines perfectly with the weapon's kit, Torpedo and Baller. The sub, torpedoes, when thrown, lock onto a nearby target and move in their direction, and while they are destroyed in one hit, if they hit their target, they deal a good amount of splash damage, and can cripple an opponent enough to hit another indirect. The special, Baller, is great to push in and out of certain situations. It may not seem like the best pairing at first, but it gives you a way to fight back against very aggressive opponents when you're being pushed back quickly. I like to use it when pushing the objective with my team, as pushing alone will probably result in death, since the Crapper does not fare well with an aggressive playstyle. When using the Crapper, it's so important to play to your strengths. You need to play smartly with positioning in order to be a threat. The weapon being tricky to learn is a positive in my opinion, as it makes it very rewarding to master. If you want reliability, the Kensplattershot Pro is a great midline that just about ticks every box you could ask for. The Splattershot Pro has a good range and a solid 3-shot kill. However, coupling this with 3 mates and 4 subs of special power up allows you to deal 49.9 damage in a hit, nearly enough to 2-shot. And believe me, you will get a lot of 2-hit splats when you play this weapon, as your opponents only need to brush their toes in your ink to be damaged enough. A 2-shot is unbelievably fast and can make the K-Pro a force to be reckoning with. You can either be really offensive or much more defensive, and this allows the K-Pro to slot into any comp. I used to pocket this weapon before I became confident with chargers, as it's just so versatile. Its kit, Splat Bomb and Booyah Bomb, suit the K-Pro as well, both being very versatile and easy to use with the main weapon. Splat Bombs have great one-shot potential, but also the splash damage can give you the edge in a fight. They are also amazing to lure out opponents and clear tight choke points when pushing up or defending a hard push. They are quite ink heavy, mind you, so you need to be sure to use them at the right time to be the most effective. The special, Booyah Bomb, is one of the less common ones, only being on 5 weapons. This makes the Kenza Pro more unique, as it's the only weapon of its playstyle that has its special. The Booyah Bomb, when activated, grants you armour, and once charged, you can throw it a sizable distance, clearing out a huge patch of turf in a sphere shape. This is great for clearing out choke points and disrupting a potential push, and also has great synergy with a good team comp. The K-Pro is also very easy to pick up and perform well with, so it makes it a great weapon to have in your arsenal. Even if it's not your common playstyle, it can be very fun to play, and I love it for its sheer versatility and power. Next up is the first charger on this list, and the longest ranged weapon in the game, the Elita 4K scope. This heavy duty charger has the slowest charge time, with the highest range and base damage out of any weapon in the game. Its range alone gives it a huge advantage, as if you play smart and have great aim, it's hard for opponents to approach you, due to how disconnected from the front line you can be. Despite this, you are vulnerable to flanks and getting rushed if you are unprepared, as your weapon weighs down your mobility and it takes so long to charge up a lethal shot. This makes the Elita have a very high skill floor, but an even higher skill ceiling, and the difference between a good and a bad Elita player is unbelievable. Playing this weapon well feels amazing, and it can pressure your opponents from across the map with ease, especially if you are in a good spot of a favourable map like Arowana Mall or Moray Towers. The Elita's kit also pairs well with the weapon, Ink Mines and Inkstorm. Mines are a more specialised sub, and only pair well with a few weapons, and the Elita is luckily one of them. You can place them in common flank spots, and use them to keep track of tight areas around you. They can also be placed at your feet when making a getaway, and the damage they do can lead to some cheesy kills when a Slayer gets too trigger happy flanking you. The special Inkstorm only costs 170p, and because you die less, you will be getting several of these each round, especially as the Elita is a surprisingly good painter due to its range and wide charge shots. The Inkstorm releases a cloud of rain that moves forward and damages enemies, applying a lot of pressure and getting a pick or two if they linger long enough. It synergises well with the pressure given off by the main weapon, and its ease of use helps it further complement the Elita as a whole. I personally prefer the scope version due to the extra range, and adds some main power up on top of that. You can reach some unexpected places and catch your opponents off guard. The Elita may be frustrating to play at first, but with some patience it's a force to be reckoning with. And if you're facing a competent Elita, all I can say is watch out. You may be surprised to see such a short-ranged weapon high up this list, and I am too to some extent, as I rarely enjoy playing with Slayers, but the Carbon Deco is just so fun to play. Nothing beats a weapon that rewards good movement and stealth with the ability to crush your opponents, and for me, the Carbon being the lightest and therefore most mobile roller fits that box the best. It may not be the greatest weapon out there, but it embodies something Splatoon is so good at: fun. It's not a very team-focused weapon, but instead encourages you to go off on rampages, one-shotting everyone you come into close contact with. Not too great for comp, but a blast in less serious situations. The Carbon Deco's kit, being Burst Bombs and Auto Bomb Launcher, pairs well with the weapon. Burst Bombs can combo well with the main weapon to deal quick splats from a close range, as well as pick people off who may be out of your main weapon's range if your initial flick doesn't do quite enough. They can also help with low amounts of pressure through choke points, as Burst Bombs can be thrown twice in an ink tank, and if both of them direct, that's 120 damage, more than enough for the splat. The Carbon's special, Auto Bomb Launcher, may not be the greatest for it, but oh boy it's fun. The ability to throw a barrage of chickens at the enemies and swarm them with these small but lethal bombs never gets old, and in tight areas it can be very effective. If you want a fun weapon, try this. The Carbon doesn't have to be super serious, and that's why I love it so much. I often feel burned out from competitive, and weapons like this allow me to relax a bit and have fun, something I certainly do not do enough. Next up on the list is a very unique weapon, and something I certainly enjoy playing, the Vanilla Explosure. This slosher, modelled after a heater, has a few very unique mechanics, the first one being the arc of its shots. Because each shot comes out in a more concentrated ball, there's less variance in where it will go. However, once it makes contact with a surface, it will explode, dealing up to 90 damage, nearly enough to kill right off the bat. It has a generous splash area, and while its firing speed is the slowest out of the sloshers, it's easy to trap opponents and pick them off if you manage to get a direct initially. The damage done by your shots can also be enough for a teammate to combo off, making it an amazing team play weapon that more focuses on the objective and overall map control than stats. A more passive playstyle like this can take some time to get used to, but especially in competitive, you can impact the game like no other weapon, with your ability to paint and pressure almost anywhere on the map. The Explode comes with its weaknesses, being its lack in mobility and inability to fare well in close-up fights, but if you play your cards right, these kinds of situations should rarely happen. The amount of pressure you can exert from a distance helps to deter people with common sense from rushing you. The main weapon has a very unique kit that synergizes well with your playstyle. Sprinkler is a passive sub that paints the area around it once placed. This can be used to passively build your special or take control of a point on the map while your opponents are distracted. They can also be used in a pinch to slow down somebody who decided to rush you, as they take a hit or two to destroy and can paint over your opponent's ink, forcing them to stop and destroy it before further advancing. They also combine with the special, Bubble Blower, which allows for further map control and gives you a way to lock down a choke point or push in if needed. Bubbles are an amazing team tool and pair so well with this weapon. The Explode certainly isn't for everyone, but I love playing it where it shines, and the satisfaction of being a great team player more than pays off for the effort you need to put into the weapon to succeed. Starting off the top 3, we have the lightest charger in the game, the Bamboozler Mark 1. This weapon is interesting, and while it may not seem too grand on paper, out on the battlefield it's a force to be reckoning with. Without any main power up, a fully charged shot deals 85 damage, but add some MPU on that and you can deal 99.9 damage with 3 mains and 5 subs. The vast majority of your gear slots, sure, but more than worth it for anyone who wants to consistently kill with the bamboo. With an insanely fast charge time, if your enemy touches your ink, it's an easy one shot. Even a 2-shot kill is pretty fast, provided you can aim consistently with the main weapon, and it makes it much more aggressive than your typical charger. This allows you to get away with more than, say, an E-liter, as your charge time is so short compared to other chargers, and this also makes you a decent enough painter in tighter areas of a map combined with your very good range. You outrange the vast majority of people in the game, and therefore, if you hang back and play smart, it's easy to keep the advantage over most weapons in the game. The Bamboo does have a high skill floor, so it's hard to grasp the weapon as a whole, but so rewarding to get good with. Its kit is fairly decent, with curling bombs and tenter missiles. Curling bombs are very overlooked, but they are nice for mobility and blocking tight passageways, and while they could be better, they do suffice. I really like tenter missiles, as they allow you to pinpoint your opponents, as well as disrupt them when pushing in, as their one-hit KO ability is enough to deter anyone from crossing their path. Missiles rarely get kills, but it's not really their main goal as a special. So as a quick summary, the Bamboo is ridiculously strong when used right, due to its versatility and high damage output, and while I'm not great with it at the moment, I love it and it deserves to be up here. Old and simple, the Splatterscope is a great, balanced charger that works in every situation. It has a solid charge time, great damage and range, and a fantastic kit that you can't fault. It's one of those perfectly balanced weapons, which is very strong in the right hands, but never feels unfair or frustrating to fight against due to the effort needed to play it well. I've had to put a lot of time into the Splatterscope to see some form of results, and while I can admit I'm far from a top level charger, it's my most played weapon, and this is primarily due to its versatility. Want to use it in splat zones? Go ahead. Need a long ranged option for clan blitz? It fits the bill. The standard splat charger is certainly the most versatile anchor in the game, and can either be played offensively or defensively to match the flow of the battle. To further touch on its versatility, it works with any kind of team comp, and certainly was an incentive to pick up the stock charger in the first place. While the on-scope version and its holding charge mechanics provide more versatility in offense, I am a more defensive player. Therefore, I prefer the extra range and easier aim with the scope. I love the Splatterscope's kit, being Splat Bomb and Stingray. Splat Bombs are the perfect sub for the charger, as they can be used to pressure indirect areas and leave a deadly explosion for anyone who tries to rush you down. Take time to perfect your bomb throws, and you can get some great picks with them. The Splatterscope special, Stingray, is the perfect special for the weapon. Across the map range and the ability to shoot through walls, the raid does what the charger does but better, and is a good trade-off for periodic vulnerability, as the pressure you can focus on the objective can save a game, although it will take some time to get used to with the aim and tracking, which makes the set as a whole seem fair. The Splatterscope may not seem very interesting, but I love playing it. It's fair and balanced, but far from a drag to play. It's the quintessential backline weapon, and easily deserves the second place spot. The weapon that takes the number one spot, and the only weapon that hasn't shifted places since last year, is the custom Hydra Splatling. I love this weapon, and it's so fun to play. While I play it less often than chargers now, in the right place it can tear through teams in the blink of an eye, thanks to its insane damage per second and charger-like range, while not having to have the pinpoint aim of a charger. After its admittedly long charge time, you can exert so much pressure over your opponents, it's near impossible for anyone to approach you in fear of quickly meeting their demise. The Hydra can lock down areas of a map and help a team take back control with ease. It's not an easy weapon by any means to play, as it requires good positioning and game awareness, but once you get the basics down, it can be great fun to pick up and play when needed. I feel much more confident when playing this compared to chargers, as I'm more consistent with it. The Hydra also has sentimental value for me, as it was the first weapon that made me love playing backlines, and was the first weapon in Splatoon, all the way back in early 2018, that I felt a connection to. Finding a main can be daunting at first, but I strongly believe once you find it, you will know. The custom Hydra certainly has that nostalgic element to it for me, and as much as I love the splatter scope, it doesn't do that. Not to mention the Hydra's kit being ink mine and ink armour, which works very well with the main weapon. Ink mines can be used to detect flanks and increase your awareness, as well as assist with picks. Like the Eliter, they are a situational sub, but work best with weapons like the Hydra. Ink armour is the best special in the game due to its versatility and ease of use. It automatically gives your team the upper hand in fights and can make or break a game. It also helps to counter charges, your biggest weakness, as you can survive a full charge with your ink armour active. So why is the Hydra top of my list? Well, it's just a fun weapon that's awfully strong in many situations, as well as it being my first true main. I would be betraying it if it was anywhere else on this list. So that's my top 10 favourite weapons. I want to apologise for my inactivity these past few weeks. I intended to get this video out super quickly, but some priorities got in the way, as well as the running time being a lot longer than usual. Let's say I got carried away while writing the script. Do you agree with my picks? Or what would your top picks be? Be sure to let me know in the comments. With that being said, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out. We're now over halfway to 1k subs and I would love to have you on this journey. Thanks for watching and I will see you all soon. Bye!